Hello, welcome back to Big Mouth, and for those loyal few people who keep on watching the videos, thank you, I love you so much. It doesn't matter how few of you are watching, the point is you're coming back to watch, and I really appreciate that someone can be bothered to do that, because a YouTube channel can take years to make successful. I'm not even advertising it or anything, so it probably won't ever be that big. But I love talking about what I talk about. It's a great place, YouTube. Some great people, some not so great people, but I haven't experienced too much of that yet. So as a massive Doctor Who fan, I was really excited this morning that we were getting these spoiler-free reviews for The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Now, Radio Times called theirs a spoiler-free preview, but I liked mainly what they said. I was interested in what they said. So what I'm going to do is read what they said. So let's do this. I'm not so good at reading things or stuff on camera, but I will try my best. Right, are we ready? By Hugh Fullerton. He's got to be Welsh, right? Anyway, right. At one point during her first full Doctor Who episode, Jodie Whittaker tells us something that more or less serves as a new mission statement for the series. I was a bit worried when I read this, but I kind of was happy with this. So listen to what she says. We're all capable of the most incredible change, Whittaker's 13th Doctor says. We can evolve while still staying true to who we are. We can honour who we've been and choose who we want to be next. Now, this is literally Chibnall saying, listen, please don't worry. This is still Doctor Who. We're still going to respect what's gone before it, but we have to look forward too. Now, a lot of people think, well, this is a bit insulting. You're talking to us like children. But for me, I like it because it reassures me as a fan that he's not just going to say, oh, this isn't the same show. Chibnall's a Doctor Who fan. What I like about Chibnall and Moffat, with all his issues and everything else, he still was a Doctor Who fan, and he did honour what Doctor Who was. And obviously Russell T Davies was a Doctor Who fan as well. It's literally Doctor Who fans that have always worked on New Who, which I absolutely adore. So I like that. So we go on. Now, after over a year of build-up, or at least the 9-10 months since Whittaker first appeared in the 2017 Christmas special, and I really like that Christmas special, by the way, we're finally getting to see what sort of show Doctor Who is choosing to be this time around. And based on the first episode, it's a show that's both easy to recognise as the Doctor Who we know and love, and the fresh new take on the formula that's been sorely needed. Well, we shall see when we actually see it, right? Frankly, from the very first frame of the episode, this feels like a different sort of Who. Plenty has been written about how the series got a visual upgrade this year, and with the production team bringing in new cameras, changing the series aspect ratio, and generally trying to make the scope of its US or Netflix sci-fi rivals. And you definitely see the extra effort on screen. A production team they replaced, don't forget that. Moffat's production team got booted out. Simply put, Doctor Who has never looked better. From some visually arresting locations, the most scenic areas of Sheffield. Oh my God, the most scenic areas of Sheffield. It's like they're talking about Paris or something. Get a good shine all the way to the special effects from the new VFX team. A double negative. Now, this is another thing that they've replaced, I think. The series premiere is a feast for the eyes, basically, and a credit to director Jamie Hill. Jamie is a great guy, and he's a great director, by the way, who also directed Jodie Whittaker's secret reveal video, which basically I did like how the video was shot. But of course, Doctor Who is more than the aesthetics, obviously, and beyond any whiz-bang technical changes, The Woman Who Fell to Earth is a great showcase for the series' new companions, now usually called the Doctor's Friends, or the TARDIS team. Little we say about that, the better, eh? Right, where are we? Each of whom begins a small personal journey by the end of the episode, which you would understand. Probably the most high-profile name among the cast is the Chase presenter and showbiz veteran Bradley Walsh. And by the way, I was so excited with Bradley's casting, but what this person says next is a little concerning. Bradley Walsh as Graham, an ex-bus driver who has a fractious relationship with his step-grandson, Tosin Coles Ryan Sinclair. So basically, the main lad companion, the young lad, is Bradley Walsh's grandson. Interesting. I like it. And a loving partnership with his wife, Grace, played by recurring series actor Sharon D. Clarke. Sharon's got great quality, by the way. I hope we see lots of her. With affecting warmth and humour, that doesn't surprise me. In contrast to Walsh's bombastic TV persona, Graham is a quiet man, often pulled along by desires of others. That's concerning. And it's an impressively restrained performance that promises plenty of interesting stories in the weeks to come. Though perhaps because of that, his role feels a little more limited this time around. That's concerning. But I didn't know Chris Chibnall ran the Law and Order show that cast Bradley Walsh, so his casting on Doctor Who is starting to make a lot of sense. Now that's the entertainment industry for you. They cast who they know, who they like, who they're the same religion as them, the nationality. That's how it works. By contrast, Mandip Gill's forthright junior police officer Yaz. Now I love Mandip. I thought she was brilliant in Hollyoaks. Yaz is positively gagging for adventure, bored by her duties, dealing with parking offences amusingly. Her backstory is similar to the rabbit hero of animated movie Zootopia. Actually, this sounds really promising. And regular demanding more from her superiors. No prices for guessing what happens when her boss finally assigns her to one of the weirder calls they get one night. Obviously, when the Doctor arrives on Earth. Again, that's good. And then there's Coles Ryan Sinclair, a warehouse worker and a wannabe mechanic who struggles with dyspraxia, a coordination disorder, cause him endless frustration and indirectly lead him into extraterrestrial trouble. Slightly surprisingly, Ryan's story is front and centre from the beginning of the episode. Yes, this is interesting that they didn't go for the female companion. This is the first time a male companion is the front and centre. Don't forget there's 3 of them, but he's pretty much going to be the main one they're focusing on. In fact, that's kind of refreshing. Walsh and Gill are important, but less central. Yep, and his relatable struggles, he's more concerned about finally learning to ride a bike than saving the world. Okay. I know they're trying to push a message there. At least to begin with, epitomise the sort of grounded Doctor Who story that new series boss Chris Chibnall has previously done so well. See 221's The Power of Three. I didn't like The Power of Three. By grounded, if you mean boring, we could be in a lot of trouble. In fact, generally speaking, throughout the episode, the stakes feel smaller, and more human than we've become used to during increasingly epic Who stories. Now, there's a lot of older Who fans who hate the epic stories, so they might actually like this, even though a lot of them are not happy we've got a female Doctor. And overall, I'd say the reduced focus is a positive change, if you say so, especially when the main point of the episodes is meeting one of the most exciting Doctors the series has seen in years. Again, we'll make our minds about that. I've seen the final trailer. I really liked what she did in that. Let's see what happens, eh? So let's go on. Yes, now we're into the meat of it. Now, this is when we get slightly more interesting from this reviewer. The episode's introduction of Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor, aka the real reason most people are probably reading this review in the first place. Yes, the show is called Doctor Who, mate. And the true highlight of the woman who fell to Earth. From her first appearance in the story, which comes a bit later than you might expect. Interesting. They're going to introduce the companions first. That's all right. There's no question Jodie Whittaker is the Doctor owning the role, like she's been playing it for years, and avoiding the sort of self-doubt we saw during the early days of Peter Capaldi's Time Lord. I'm really fed up of the Capaldi bashing. We saw it on a BBC News article as well, and they're really paying for that now. This could really hurt the series as well. Bursting with energy, intensely moral, and a little distracted, she's eminently convincing as the continuation of every Doctor we've seen thus far. That's positive. While still breaking in new quirks. And while her gender change does briefly come up, she makes reference to having been a white-haired Scotsman, I like that, just half an hour before her new team meet her. It's actually surprising how little you notice or even think about the fact that the new Doctor is a woman, apart from her being a woman. It just feels like an irrelevant piece of trivia. An irrelevant piece of trivia! She's a woman! If I'm a man, that's not an irrelevant piece of trivia, is it? Anyway, like the colour of her hair, as you join the familiar figure of the Doctor for yet another year of sci-fi exploring, and that's exactly how it should be. By the end of the hour, you'll definitely be desperate for more adventures with this strange woman from the stars. Now, this is interesting because then the reviewer gets slightly negative. So this is really interesting that we're going to be wanting more despite what he says below. Let's continue. As an episode of Doctor Who, The Woman Who Fell to Earth isn't perfect. As often happens, listen, nothing's perfect, but let's see. Often happens with introductory episodes. Well, actually, no. I thought The Christmas Invasion was a fantastic introductory episode for David Tennant. And didn't really have any flaws, which we won't go into. He doesn't want to go into the details, fair enough. I don't want spoilers anyway. About here. Save that it involves an alien incursion into Sheffield. Well, basically, apart from Sheffield, we've seen this so many times on Doctor Who, feels a little thin, sacrificed at the expense of introducing an unusually large cast of regulars, some of who, as mentioned above, get less to do than others. Now, this is really interesting to me because what he's saying there blatantly is that the plot plays second fiddle to the character introductions. Now, this isn't a big deal. We see this in pilots all the time. If you go back to the Smallville pilot, it was really about introducing the characters and the concept of what the show was going to be. This is normal, so it's not too much of a big deal, but we go on. Elsewhere, a few of the jokes, mainly focused on Whittaker getting used to her new incarnation and lines of dialogue, fall a bit flat. And on the whole, it's definitely less witty and quotable version of Who than we might have seen during the former years of showrunner Stephen Moffat. Again, if I just stop to talk about that, I've seen this in the trailers. She's not as witty. I could just tell that by the trailers already. So I think this is going to be a problem because most of the new Who Doctors have always been quite witty. And if she's not, this actually could cause an issue for some of the fans. Now, if she has other quirks that are interesting, it doesn't have to be funny. But for me, because the Doctor's been quite witty since Russell T Davies brought it back, this could be a problem. But we have to wait and see till we watch it. But generally speaking, this extended episode is an impressive introduction to Chris Chibnall's new vision and Jodie Whittaker's Doctor that creates truly organic, grounded interpersonal dynamics between the characters. The way that the TARDIS team is thrown together feels believable, particularly by the end of the episode, and promises real dramatic stakes in the weeks to come. Now, that is interesting and that is positive. And I've always said, like, the companions in New Who need more of a dramatic core to them and an emotional core, and sometimes they've lacked that. Right. This is a bit of a negative. Personally, I didn't think it quite matched Matt Smith's 2010 opening episode, The 11th Hour. I think The 11th Hour, I think Capaldi's introduction was better than The 11th Hour. Not all of Capaldi's introduction, but when he comes out of the TARDIS and there's a dinosaur, I thought that was much better than when we first saw Matt Smith. But Matt Smith grew on me and he was a great Doctor. So here we go. Quite matched Matt Smith's 2010 opening episode. Another feature-length story that introduced a new Doctor and production team, and the closest direct comparison to the episode. But overall, The Woman Who Fell to Earth should be a relief for anyone with any concerns about what to expect from the new series, aka everyone. It's fun, heartfelt and full of life, just like the new Time Lord. At the heart of it, the Doctor is in, and it's said about time. And that's that. So I would love you to kind of interact with me. Comment down below. Tell me what you think of that preview. I didn't read the others because this one really did it for me. Sometimes the Radio Times are quite annoying and kind of biased because all the mainstream reviewers are going to be positive, whether it's a pile of horse crap or it's the best thing we've ever seen, because it's a female doctor. They want to big it up. For me personally, I've said this a billion times, never wanted a female doctor, but I love Doctor Who, not a deal breaker. Jodie looks great. She's got a great CV. Chris Chibnall is a talented writer. Let's hope he can pull this thing off, because we do not want Doctor Who to die. So as I say, comment down below. Let me know what you think. But mostly from that, I'm quite looking forward to what we're going to see.